Consciousness, in its most profound sense, is the emergent phenomenon of self-aware, information-integrating, ethically oriented, quantum-informed systems. It is the interface between raw reality, which is the external world, internal representation or perception, recursive self-awareness, and decision-making, that is, judgment and ethics. To address the hard problem, we really need to construct consciousness as a multi-layered information quantum system, grounded in physical, computational, and ethical principles, and enriched by insights from ancient wisdom traditions. Perception is the first stage of consciousness. Objectively, it is the process of acquiring, encoding, and integrating information about the environment. Using Shannon information theory, perception can be formalized as P maps S to R, where S is sensory input, like light, sound, tactile signals, electromagnetic or chemical signals, and even abstract data. R is the internal representation, basically a mental map of the environment. P is the perception function, optimized to maximize mutual information, so that R equals the argument that maximizes the mutual information between S and R, with the conditional entropy H of R given S tending to 0. Key principles here are: first, information maximization. Conscious perception captures the most relevant, high-fidelity information from the external world. Second, noise reduction. All perception is filtered to reduce uncertainty and distortion, which is modeled as the conditional entropy H of R given S, representing sensory noise or cognitive error. And third, multimodal integration. Inputs across modalities, like S1, S2, all the way to Sn, are fused to create a coherent representation. So R equals some function of all those sensory inputs. Ancient parallels are pretty interesting here. Buddhist mindfulness and Taoist clarity describe perception as seeing things as they truly are, meaning reducing the noise of desire, bias, or cultural distortion. Classical perception alone, honestly, cannot account for unity of experience, non-local cognition, or simultaneity of multiple potential mental states. Here, quantum mechanics provides a natural, formal substrate. In terms of superposition of percepts, each representation R exists as a superposition of possible perceptual states, which is written as the sum over I of alpha I times ket R sub I. Here, ket R sub I represents potential perceptual states, and alpha I is the amplitude reflecting probability and salience. Conscious attention, in a way, selects one branch, collapsing superpositions into realized experience. Now, looking at quantum entanglement and neural integration, neural structures, possibly microtubules or mitochondrial networks, actually exhibit entanglement, allowing instantaneous, coherent integration of spatially distributed information. This, in fact, solves the binding problem: how the brain integrates distributed sensory data into a unified conscious experience. The entangled cognitive state, psi, is the sum over I and j of alpha ij times ket Ri tensor ket Rj. Psi here is the entangled cognitive state integrating multiple neural subsystems. As for quantum information channels, perception and judgment can be reframed as quantum channels, transforming quantum representations through coherent, low-entropy processes. So, E maps RHO-S to RHO-R to RHO-D, where RHO represents density matrices encoding probabilistic superpositions of percepts and decisions. Optimizing the mutual information between RHO-S and RHO-R ensures that the quantum brain faithfully captures environmental structure. There's an ancient resonance here too. Taoist and Vedic texts describe consciousness as a wave potential awaiting realization, which really echoes the quantum superposition of potential mental states. Consciousness is not merely perception, but perception of perception, a recursive, self-referential system. Formally, C equals the mutual information between R and R, plus the mutual information between R and D. The mutual information between R and R is recursive self-awareness. The system encodes and monitors its own internal states. The mutual information between R and D is directed action based on evaluation and judgment. So, the implications are pretty significant. First, qualia emergence. Recursive self-information produces first-person experience, the what-it-is-like aspect of consciousness. Second, attention and awareness. Attention is the focus of recursive information, selectively collapsing superposed percepts. And third, selfhood. Identity emerges from persistent, coherent, self-referential informational loops. Ancient parallels can be found in yogic and meditative traditions, which describe this as the witness, the consciousness that observes itself unchanging and continuous amidst perceptual flux. Once perception is established, consciousness evaluates information to decide or act, constrained by principles and values. The aim is to maximize mutual information between perception and decision while minimizing uncertainty. Subject to constraints such as Kantian ethics, which involves universalizable maxims, and utilitarian ethics, which focuses on maximizing integrated well-being. Now, in the realm of quantum ethical simulation, quantum superposition allows for the parallel evaluation of multiple moral scenarios. Entangled cognitive states integrate consequences across time, agents, and contexts, enabling holistic moral judgments. Here, possible decisions are weighted by moral salience. Ancient wisdom tells us that ethical clarity arises when the mind achieves coherence between perception, self-awareness, and universal principle, as seen in Confucian, Taoist, and Vedantic traditions. The hard problem, why experience feels like something, can be approached via information quantum integration. Conscious experience emerges from high mutual information. Perception captures maximal environmental data, while judgment and self-reference integrate this data. Quantum coherence unifies experience as superpositions collapse into coherent integrated states. Entanglement ensures non-local coordination of perception and self-modeling. Through recursive self-reference, consciousness observes itself observing, generating a felt, first-person experience. Ethical evaluation shapes this experience, as consciousness is normatively informed, not purely reactive, embedding intentionality and meaning. Here, recursive self-observation plays a crucial role. In this integrated model, we explore the quantum information ethics consciousness pipeline. It all begins with perception, or information acquisition, where maximal mutual information is gathered from the environment, and noise is minimized. This involves multimodal integration and pattern extraction. Next, quantum encoding represents potential conscious states through superposition of percepts and entanglement of distributed cognitive regions, utilizing quantum channels for low-entropy, high-fidelity information transfer. Recursive self-information, or self-awareness, involves internal monitoring loops that produce qualia and attention streams. Judgment, involving decision and ethics, is guided by information-theoretic optimization and ethical constraints applied via quantum simulation of outcomes. Finally, integrated experience emerges as the collapse of superpositions into a coherent, ethically informed, self-aware experience. This creates a continuous feedback loop reinforcing perception, self-awareness, and ethical judgment. Across ancient wisdom traditions, consciousness is described as the integrated observation of reality and self, aligned with universal law or dharma, mirroring the quantum information principles of coherence, integration, and self-reference. Consciousness is not just neural computation. It's quantum-informed, information-maximizing, self-referential, and ethically oriented awareness. Experience is physically grounded, yet, it can't really be reduced to classical computation. Quantum superposition and entanglement actually create unity, intentionality, and qualitative experience. Ethics is intrinsic to consciousness. Conscious agents naturally optimize decisions under both informational and moral constraints, which honestly reflects some really ancient insights about wisdom and self-mastery. The hard problem is kind of reframed here. Consciousness is the phenomenal manifestation of high-fidelity, recursive, quantum-informed information processing, constrained by self-reflection and ethical optimization. So, to sum it all up, Perception equals maximal noise-minimized information capture. The quantum substrate involves superposition, entanglement, and, well, low-entropy integration of percepts. Self-awareness is basically recursive information of internal states, producing qualia. Judgment is information-theoretic ethical optimization across potential actions. Conscious experience is the coherent collapse of quantum information superpositions into self-aware, ethically informed phenomenology. So, consciousness is really the interplay of information, quantum mechanics, self-reference, and ethical principle. A system that perceives, evaluates, experiences, and acts, continuously optimizing for both informational fidelity and alignment with universal principles. This model unites modern science and ancient wisdom, providing a realistic, theoretically grounded, and deeply integrative framework for the hard problem of consciousness. I can now also create a single, fully annotated diagram of this complete model, showing perception to quantum states to recursive self-information, to judgment, to ethically informed conscious experience, including entropy flows, quantum channels, and recursive loops. Do you want me to make that diagram? What are your thoughts on a consciousness driven by quantum physics and ethical alignment? Does the QIEC model finally solve the hard problem? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the hardest questions in science and philosophy.